Greetings, dear friends, and welcome once more to our enchanting gathering. We're delighted to have you with us today. We have an enchanting tale to unveil for you. Let us embark on this enchanting journey. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Michael, and for the past decade, I have been entwined in a union with a captivating woman named Emma. Had you inquired a few years back, I would have confidently declared that my marriage was quite splendid. It appears I was utterly mistaken. Emma was contemplating her departure, envisioning a graceful exit with a share of all that we had built together. She believed she had unraveled the mysteries of her heart. Little did she realize I was already 3 steps ahead, weaving a delicate web of intrigue. To speak candidly, there were moments when the connection between Emma and me sparkled with a certain charm. In the early days of our romance, she exuded a captivating sweetness and an enchanting attentiveness that drew me in completely. In those days, it seemed as though she reveled in the delight of our connection. Yet, as the days unfolded, a transformation took place. She began to tease me playfully. Initially, I dismissed it as mere flirtation. Yet, it took a turn for the more intriguing. She would draw comparisons between me and other men, coworkers, friends, even though she barely knew. Why can't you possess the same fervor for ambition as James does? Have you noticed the way Kevin whisked his wife away on those enchanting getaways? How delightful that must be. Frank possesses an undeniable charm when it comes to mending the little imperfections of our home. It would be wise to take a page from his book. It was perpetually another soul, a figure more statuesque, a fortune more lavish, a presence more captivating. There came a moment when I understood that, regardless of my efforts, I could never quite capture her heart as I longed to. When I toiled into the night, it seemed my earnings were never quite sufficient. Upon returning home prematurely, I found myself lacking the fervor I once possessed. To shower her with gifts felt like a frivolous indulgence. If I failed to do so, it would be as if I were turning my back on her entirely. Victory was an elusive dream. Believe me, I made every effort. The sole reason I lingered a while longer was for the sake of our beloved daughter. I was determined to shield my child from the shadows of a fractured home, if only I could weave a different fate. Thus I lingered. I endured the subtle, yet pointed, jabs that lingered in the air. On a seemingly ordinary Saturday afternoon, I found myself nestled in the living room, casually scrolling through my phone when my daughter approached me, her eyes sparkling with that enchanting, hopeful smile that children were just before making a request. "Darling, might we indulge in some ice cream together?" she inquired, her eyes sparkling with intrigue, already attempting to captivate my heart. I let out a soft laugh, shaking my head with a hint of playful disbelief. "Darling, you must realize that indulging in ice cream isn't always the wisest choice for your well-being. Excessively sweet." It was a sentiment I had whispered to her countless times, each utterance laced with a hint of longing. Yet this time, rather than sulking or attempting to bargain, as was her custom, she simply shrugged and remarked, "But Uncle Ben always indulges me with ice cream." Every part of me fell into a hushed reverie. I composed myself, striving to maintain an air of tranquility and poise. But who, pray tell, was this enigmatic Uncle Ben? With a playful lilt in my voice, I inquired, "Oh really, who might this Uncle Ben be?" She moved with a confidence that left no room for doubt. "Mother's companion. He arrives during your hours of toil, or while you indulge in your escapades. He indulges me with delightful ice cream and decadent cookies." Words escape me. A child of her age wouldn't weave such tales, particularly not with such effortless candor. In her heart, she felt no guilt. I managed to conjure a smile. "I understand now. How charming of him." With a knowing smile, she dashed away, her laughter trailing behind her like a whisper of mischief in the air. Yet, I found myself simply seated there. My beloved wife, Emma, entertained a charming male friend in my absence. I chose not to inquire about it immediately. Instead, I chose a more enchanting path. I began to observe Emma's intriguing demeanor, and that was the moment I became aware of certain intriguing details. She found herself stepping out of the house, far more frequently than before. She would often assert that she had errands to attend to, yet her absences stretched on for hours, leaving a tantalizing mystery in her wake. Excursions to the gym that mysteriously unfolded into half-day adventures. Unexpected rendezvous with acquaintances she had yet to reveal. And whenever I inquired with a hint of curiosity, such as, "Where did you wander off to? Pray tell, what could have possibly delayed such a delightful encounter?" she would become quite protective, as if my inquiry was a transgression beyond reproach. Her phone emerged as yet another tantalizing hint of intrigue. It lay in quiet repose, its screen turned away, a secret waiting to be unveiled. She would carry it with her always, even into the most private of spaces. When it chimed in our shared space, she would hastily glide towards it, slipping away with a knowing grace before revealing her words. It was evident that she wished to keep her phone at a tantalizing distance from my curious gaze. And in those fleeting moments when my gaze wandered her way, I caught her hastily dismissing notifications, as if shielding the secrets of her correspondences from my curious eyes. How delightfully unexpected. We had always shared everything, yet now it seemed as though she was concealing a tantalizingly different existence just beyond my reach. And what of her demeanor? It was as if she had ignited a spark, transforming the atmosphere with a mere gesture. Every subtle gesture I made seemed to provoke her ire. She began to stir up discord over the most trivial matters, and I observed something quite peculiar. These disagreements always seemed to arise just as she felt the need to escape for a moment, to breathe in the world beyond the confines of their heated exchanges. It seemed as though she was seeking a delightful reason to escape the confines of her home. And the simplest way to achieve that was by casting me as the villain. In a world where trust reigned, I found myself tirelessly mending the delicate threads of our bond, unaware of the shadows that danced just beyond my sight. I would gently inquire about her troubles, seeking to uncover any hidden burdens or sources of her distress. Yet, each time I reached out, she gracefully turned me away. Yet, as I began to notice these intriguing patterns, my inquiries faded into silence. One enchanting evening, as I sat at the desk in our intimate bedroom, attempting to capture my thoughts on paper, I discovered that my pen had run dry of ink. I cast a furtive glance around the room, searching for a hidden treasure, and that's when my eyes fell upon Emma's handbag, carelessly left ajar on the dresser. I gently slipped my hand within. My fingers grazed a delicate plastic trinket, igniting a thrill of curiosity. I retrieved it impulsively, a thrill coursing through me. It was a bottle elegantly adorned, holding secrets within its confines. Initially, I scarcely acknowledged the delicate treasure resting in my hands. The name of the medication evoked no familiar echoes in my mind. With a swift motion, I seized my phone and delicately entered the query into Google, and in mere moments, the answer revealed itself to me. The medication was employed to address intimate ailments of a delicate nature. It had been eternity since I last shared a moment with Emma. If she was indulging in this, it could only suggest one tantalizing possibility. Emma was entwined in the arms of another. The sound of the water ceasing in the bathroom caught my attention. I returned the bottle to its original place, as if preserving a delicate secret. I wished to keep my newfound revelation hidden from her, shrouded in mystery. Rather than facing her directly, he indulges in the game they both know too well. In Texas, the ground for divorce hinge on fault, and should I unveil her indiscretions, it would not only strip her of alimony, but also cast a shadow over her claims. She might find herself owing me a rather intriguing sum for the consequences of her actions. That revelation transformed the very essence of our existence. Rather than responding impulsively, I chose to weave a delicate snare. In the days that ensued, my first course of action was to engage the services of a divorce lawyer, an expert in matters of this delicate nature. He presented with such finesse the evidence I craved, a testament that would withstand the scrutiny of any courtroom. It was then that I decided to enlist the services of a discreet investigator. After a month of anticipation, the private investigator finally returned with his findings, and they unveiled the truth I had long suspected. She was indulging in a secret affair. She embraced it with a daring flair. There were captivating images of her rendezvousing with this gentleman at various enchanting locales. But what could be more tantalizing than the most unfortunate twist? She possessed the boldness to invite him into our sanctuary. Indeed, you caught that perfectly. While I toiled away at my duties, she would extend an invitation for him to come over. The private investigator captured a series of time-stamped photos and videos, revealing the gentleman's car lingering outside our residence on several enchanting occasions. By that moment, all the remnants of affection I once held for her had faded away. This was rather unbecoming. And then came our enchanting daughter. I had long harbored a suspicion that she was turning a blind eye, but now the depths of her indifference are becoming all too clear. She would slip away for hours, occasionally neglecting the hour of rest, simply to bask in his presence. She was nowhere to be found. My attorney was quite explicit. If I could unveil the truth of her indifference towards our child, I would have grounds to pursue full custody. And that is precisely the course I envisioned for myself. At this moment, she remained blissfully unaware of the delightful surprises that awaited her. She believed she had me deceived. Yet, in truth, I was meticulously crafting my strategy, layer by layer, biding my time for that exquisite moment to make my move. When it comes to matters of finance, Emma would not shy away from extracting every last drop from me. In a bold yet graceful maneuver, I entrusted all my significant assets to accounts bearing my daughter's name. I arranged them as college savings funds, elegantly crafted as inheritance accounts. In the delicate dance of life, all that was once mine now gracefully belonged to my daughter. And since those accounts were solely reserved for her future, Emma found herself unable to lay a finger on a single dime. It was far more intricate than merely shifting funds. I sought the expertise of a lawyer to ensure that every detail was impeccably secured. And once it was completed, there was no turning back. This was not a matter of pettiness. It was a matter of safeguarding the treasures I had so passionately cultivated. If I were to walk away from our shared accounts and seek a divorce from Emma, she would undoubtedly be entitled to her fair share of what we built together. Perhaps even greater delights awaited her, should she navigate the evening with finesse. The funds, once intended for our daughter's future, had gracefully slipped from my grasp, no longer belonging to me. My sole aim is to become the rightful guardian of my daughter's accounts, ensuring her future is secure and elegantly managed. I shall maintain complete mastery over the situation. On a night steeped in tension, after yet another heated exchange, Emma finally uttered the words I had longed to hear. I desire to end this union. With her arms gracefully folded, she gazed at me, a silent challenge in her eyes, as if daring me to plead, to falter, to prove my devotion. Yet I refrained. I had been poised for this moment long before she even dared to whisper it into the air. I yearned for freedom just as intensely, perhaps even more so. Rather than engaging in a dispute, I simply smiled and replied, "All right." That single word sent her heart racing. She blinked, a hint of surprise dancing in her eyes, as if the ease of it all had caught her off guard. She believed she held the advantage. In her thoughts, she envisioned herself gracefully departing with a generous share of it all, accompanied by alimony to ensure her continued comfort and allure. Little did she know, I had devoted countless months to orchestrating this very moment. The following morning, just as she was about to broach the subject of a fair division, I had my lawyer discreetly deliver the divorce papers to her. She lingered in her robe, the soft fabric brushing against her skin, as she delicately opened the envelope at the breakfast table. I beheld the subtle transformation of her expression. Her universe unraveled before her very eyes. The documents revealed every tantalizing detail. Not only was she denied alimony, but she might also find herself compelled to compensate me for damages. For the first time in ages, she found herself utterly captivated, rendered momentarily without words. Her gaze met mine, wide, and enchanting, as though she were discovering my essence anew. As the divorce proceedings began, Emma maintained an air of poise, as if she held the reins of her life firmly in her grasp. She may have believed there was an escape waiting just beyond the shadows. Yet, she was mistaken. The discreet investigator had executed their task with remarkable finesse. There existed a collection of photographs, each marked with the time, capturing the clandestine encounters between her and her beloved at enchanting locales. And when the court beheld it, the whispers of intrigue could no longer be concealed. Then arrived the unexpected twist, the medication for my ailment that I captured in photographs that evening. I recall the delicate shift in her complexion when my lawyer unveiled it. There it lay, undeniable evidence that she had been tending to an ailment she certainly didn't acquire for my sake. The judge's disapproval was as clear as day, unmasked and unapologetic. In Texas, the intricacies of divorce take on a dramatic flair, as the revelation of infidelity by one partner could dramatically alter the course of the proceedings. It was she who shattered the promises we once held dear. She relinquished her claim to alimony. She had anticipated a moment of sweet reward. Instead, she was left with an empty promise. And to add a touch of intrigue, since her clandestine liaison was the catalyst for the divorce, there lingered the possibility that she might owe me reparations. Yet, the most devastating blow to her heart, the one that truly left her in pieces, was when the court made its fateful decision regarding custody. My lawyer revealed the details. The evening she chose to leave our daughter unattended while she pursued her clandestine rendezvous, the extravagant indulgences, and the way she placed her passionate entanglement above her own family. The judge acted without a moment's pause. He perceived her in the light of truth, a woman whose maternal instincts seemed to falter. The court granted me full custody. Neither shared parenting nor weekends, nor any back-and-forth arrangements to complicate our lives. Emma found herself merely an observer in the enchanting world of her own child's existence. I had already transferred the accounts into our daughter's name, while ensuring that other significant assets, such as the house, were arranged in a manner that kept them beyond her reach. By the time the verdict was delivered, she found herself utterly bereft. As we stepped out of that courtroom, she had transformed, no longer the woman who had boldly sought her freedom. I must confess, there was a moment when I considered rekindling our connection, mending the rift for the love of our daughter. Yet that moment has faded into the past. My vision has become exquisitely vivid. There are certain missteps that linger, forever etched in the fabric of our lives. Some individuals find themselves reflecting on their choices only when the repercussions come alight. That is precisely the tale that unfolded for Emma. Initially, she feigned indifference, masking the tumult of emotions swirling within her. As the truth dawned upon her, that the prospect of financial support was slipping away, that the delicate balance of custody was shifting, and that her safety net was fraying, her resolve to depart wavered, leaving her in a state of uncertainty. She began reaching out, pouring her heart into lengthy messages that reminisced about the beautiful years we shared, confessing her missteps and expressing how our daughter deserved the love of both her parents. But where was that tender regard for our family when she was indulging in her secret escapades? Where was all that remorse when she wove her deceit before my very eyes, making me feel as though I was unworthy of her affection? I remained resolute. She employed every artifice imaginable, weaving guilt and feigned remorse into her narrative, even casting shadows upon me for not championing our union with enough fervor. Yet, how can one strive for a love that has already been consumed by flames ignited by another's hand? She held no regrets for her daring choices. She felt a pang of regret for being discovered, and an even deeper sorrow that I refused to allow her to escape with the life she believed was rightfully hers. At last, I find myself unshackled, and not merely in the eyes of the law, but in the depths of the mind, the heart, and the soul's treasures. At last, I can devote my attention to my daughter, crafting a life where I no longer tread lightly or question the fabrications that surround me each day. This experience has been quite enlightening. First, always pay attention to the subtle hints that beckon to you. When something seems amiss, let your intuition guide you. Secondly, ensure you safeguard your heart and your resources with utmost care. Had I not embarked on the journey I chose, I would have found myself with naught but emptiness. And third, there are those who only come to value you when they discover that their charms can no longer sway you. So what are your thoughts, darlings? Did I navigate that situation with the right touch? What would you have chosen if you found yourself in my position? Do share your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, she believed she was the one in control. It appears she was merely a performer in her own elaborate game.